Hello, everyone. My name is Steve, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing part two of our continuing series on a first time investment property buyer's checklist. A common mistake I often see potential buyers make when looking at investment properties is not having a clear financing strategy in place prior to beginning the shopping process for a home. To start building a financing strategy, the first step you need to take is to speak with a mortgage broker and complete a full application. Having that application in with your mortgage broker is going to allow them to have a good understanding of your overall qualifications, including income, employment, assets, reserves, and also they need to know exactly what your long term goals are, not only for this property, but going forward. Knowing exactly what your goals are is going to help your loan officer find and select options that fit your overall needs. You may find that the standard conventional loans are your best bet up front, or you may find that you need something a little bit more alternative, like a DSCR or debt service coverage ratio loan, or maybe you fall into the world of needing private financing. Understanding your overall qualifications and having a financing plan in place is absolutely paramount to beginning a successful investment career. Once you have that plan in place, you need to understand that shopping for the best rate is not always what your goal is. Sometimes the best overall rate doesn't put you in the best overall position long term. To obtain a low or lowest rate possible on an investment property conventionally, you're often going to be required to put down about 30 to 40%. Typically, you may not want to put that down when you're looking at building a portfolio over the long term. If you're looking to build a long term portfolio, having a slightly higher rate that allows you to put down a little bit less money might be a better position than having a lower payment and lower cash position after the purchase. So, shopping for the best overall rate may not be the best plan for you going forward. So, understanding what your options look like and what your numbers look like in terms of financing is going to help you select the right overall loan. Remember, rate doesn't always equate to cash flow. Cash flow should be what your overall goal is when selecting a financing program. But as part of that selection, you need to make sure this loan sets you up for success down the road. Part of knowing that success down the road is, what is my plan for the property? Do I want to pull equity out of the property down the road eventually to help finance additional properties? Do I want to pull equity out of the property to finance improvements? Having a strategy around that, or at least understanding what your goals may be going into that initial purchase, will help you make a better decision as far as whether or not each property you look at may be a good fit or not the right fit for you going forward. So again, having a financing strategy for the short term and long term is absolutely imperative to your overall success. Building an understanding of the market that you're in and the types of properties you should be targeting is the next step in building your overall strategic plan for purchasing that first investment property. Knowing what your target market looks like is important to understand exactly how much you can expect to receive in rent, what the long term potential success looks like for you going forward, as well as whether or not it's a good market for you to purchase in. You should be able to work with your real estate agent to have a better understanding of all of those factors and more while determining whether or not a specific neighborhood or market is right for you to begin investing in. Once you know the neighborhood or market, the next step is to determine what type of property you're going to be looking for. Does a single family home make more sense for you based on the market you're looking at, or does a 2 to 4 unit type property make more sense in terms of overall financial success going forward? So understanding what the properties look like is important, but also understanding and reviewing what rental comparables look like for those markets and individual properties looks like is important as well. Having a good idea of what you can realistically ask in terms of rental on a monthly basis will help determine whether or not each individual property or type of property is the right fit for you. Again, your real estate agent can help you develop a comparable matrix or provide information, if you will, along the lines of what rents look like in the areas you're interested in. Once you have a good handle on that, the next step is to take a quick look at what does property taxes look like in that market. Knowing exactly what property taxes look like, are they high? Are they low? Is it something that is going to make it easier for you to cash flow based on your overall goals? So understanding what your taxes look like, but also having an understanding of what your homeowner's insurance is going to look like, as well as whether or not you're going to be dealing with an HOA is important as well. Knowing exactly what your insurance policy and premiums might look like in combination with your overall plan is important. A single family home may have higher insurance rates than you expected in that neighborhood, or you might find that a 2 to 4 unit property based on insurances available for you in that area makes no sense as well. So, again, having a handle on the market that you're in, the property that you're looking for, and the expenses around that property are important. And then, lastly, what you want to do is make sure that the market is going to be one that's going to sustain long-term growth for you going forward. If this is not a market that you feel confident in growth going forward, it's not a market you want to invest in. Learning to analyze each property on an individual basis is part of the next step in determining whether or not you're ready to move forward as an investment property owner. Part of that analyzing needs to include taking a look at your subject market or even subject property if you have a home identified already, and determine exactly what you're going to be able to rent that home for going forward. Part of that analysis needs to include taking a look at rental comparable properties around your neighborhood or property with your real estate agent. Ideally, you're going to want to find properties that are rented less than a mile from your property and support the number you're looking for in terms of monthly rental amount. The next step is determining a vacancy factor or expense factor on your property on a monthly basis. Not all properties will be rented 100% of the time, so it's important to figure that into your overall analysis of the numbers. But also, you need to understand what type of maintenance and expenses you're going to be carrying going forward on that property. I recommend using a 25% vacancy factor when determining your overall vacancy amount to apply towards the rental amount going forward. So if your property is going to rent for $2,000 a month, you need to make sure that the numbers make sense for you based on a $1,500 a month rental income. And if they don't, it may not be the right property for you to purchase initially. The next step that you want to take a look at is what is the condition of the property and what kind of maintenance and upkeep expenses am I seeing that I need to complete immediately? And what might I be looking at on a long term basis going forward? Understanding what kind of condition your property in and what it's going to take to maintain the acceptable condition to maximize your overall rental amount is very much important to know going into that initial purchase. So once you've got a good idea of how much you can rent the property for, what your expenses are going to be in the process, you need to make sure that you calculate your overall cash flow after you've applied your mortgage payment, expenses, and other factors into that payment calculation. Ideally, you obviously want to see some sort of positive rental growth, but you also need to determine what that number needs to look like in order for it to make sense for you. Are you comfortable with a $500 a month cash flow? Are you comfortable with less? Do you feel like you need more based on your market? So, understanding exactly what all of the expenses are going into the property is very much part of the analyzing process that you need to take place prior to purchasing that home. Lastly, make sure that your numbers are conservative. Don't go in aggressively thinking you're going to capture the highest rental amount in your neighborhood. Also, on the same side, don't underestimate your overall expenses that you need to put into the property and maintenances going forward. It's important that you look at these numbers from a conservative basis so it sets you up for long-term success going forward. Thank you for watching part 2 of my first time investment property buyers checklist series. If you found the information contained in this program useful, make sure you hit the subscribe button and pay attention for our final and third part series next week.
to wrap the checklist up. If you'd like to obtain a copy of my checklist, please reach out to me via email at askstevemolman.com. Thank you.